Hello everyone, welcome to the Scumdogs Kennel. I'm your host, Chris Williams, and in today's Cryptid Corner mini-episodes, I have a couple of stories, one involving the Templars and the U.S. government and Jesus' bones, and another story involving maybe life existing on Venus, particularly in the clouds, surrounding the planet. Either way, folks, let's get into the first article. Knights Templar leader claims Jesus' bones are hidden in U.S. vaults. A leader of a modern Knights Templar order claims that the bones of Jesus, Mary Magdalene, and John the Baptist are secretly stored in vaults in the U.S. Sounds very reminiscent of basically Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark and the Ark of the Covenant, doesn't it, folks? Do you suppose maybe like in that movie? Well, the bones of these religious leaders are stored in a vault on U.S. property? Let's read on and we can contemplate that. Timothy H. Hogan, Grand Master of the Order, made these claims on the Danny Jones podcast, alleging the Templars smuggled the relics from Jerusalem to protect them from the Vatican. Hogan said the remains were originally found in the Tal Payot tomb in East Jerusalem. Discovered in 1980, archaeologists uncovered ossuaries, including one inscribed Yahshua bar Yosef, Joseph, son of Joseph. Hogan claims the Templars moved the bones to prevent the Vatican from suppressing them. So incredibly interesting, isn't it, folks? Is it the truth? Perhaps, as I said. But we'll have to wonder about that, folks. Could these bones basically be some sort of hoax as well? That's also a possibility as well, folks. In fact, all of this, we don't know the real truth. But let's continue to read on and maybe find out. When the tomb was originally discovered with ossuaries labeled with the names Jesus, Mary Magdalene, and John the Baptist, it was understood that if the remains were turned over to the Vatican, they would vanish, he said. The church would have buried the story because it contradicts their doctrine. The Knights Templar, a medieval order disbanded in 1312, are often tied to conspiracy theories. Hogan insists DNA testing could soon verify the remains matching bone fragments from the tomb with historical records. This isn't something we're trying to hide, he said. We're just trying to protect it. Maybe indeed these Knights Templar are, folks. But, as I said, we don't know the full truth of the matter. Maybe indeed that this is exactly the truth. But do you believe it, folks? Do you think that the remains found in this tomb, which now reside in U.S. vaults, are indeed the bones of Jesus Christ and other religious figures like Mary Magdalene and John the Baptist? As I said, the information is spurious at best, but still kind of interesting. Hogan says there were originally 7 vaults, now consolidated into 2 in the American Northwest. Inside them are the 6 arks we acquired, as well as several different ossuaries containing the bones believed to belong to Jesus, Mary Magdalene, John the Baptist, and their children. He claimed he also mentioned a Templar vault in Istanbul, now under Turkish Antiquities care. The Vatican allegedly knows about the vaults, but not their U.S. locations. Hogan warned that if the relics were seized, they would disappear as they contradict the doctrine of Jesus' physical resurrection. If these had been turned over to the Pope, they would have been made to vanish, he insisted. Hogan admits no DNA tests have been done yet, but says the order plans to conduct them. Certain fragments recently recovered from the Tal Payot tomb could be used to make a match, he said. He also presented controversial claims about Jesus' family, saying Mary Magdalene first married John the Baptist, then Jesus, and they had children. Mainstream scholars reject these ideas, citing no historical or genetic evidence. Now, before I end my video, folks, I have a few things to say about this. Remember, Hogan here says that he could use the DNA from these bone fragments to basically match it up with historical records. I don't exactly know how. Remember, historical records don't have any real DNA or anything to test, so how is it going to prove that these bones are the bones of Jesus Christ? It's just a name on on these ossuaries. And, folks, I mentioned the U.S. government. It looks like they have no real, hand in any of this, but I wouldn't be surprised if somewhere the government itself is watching over this entire developing story and might try to basically get some sort of hold over it. I would not be surprised if that happened. But either way, folks, so far it looks like the government basically, if it has any involvement, it's probably them just basically, stepping back and watching. But maybe they have more of a control over it than we really think. Either way, folks, very interesting story. But do you think that it's true? As I said, the story is on, unsteady ground, so it's very iffy. But folks, let's move on to the next article. Is there life in Venus's clouds? UK mission aims to find out. It looks like the UK is sending a mission to Mars, probably to test the clouds. Remember, folks, we talked about before that living organisms produce a kind of gas that can be detected, through testing, and even with satellite testing as well. So this mission could prove in the future that life does exist, well, in the clouds on Venus. So let's read on and find out exactly what they're planning to do. A UK-led mission is set to solve one of astronomy's biggest mysteries. Is there life in Venus's clouds? Scientists plan to send a probe to search for microbial life in the planet's atmosphere, where recent discoveries of phosphine and ammonia, gases often linked to biological activity on Earth, have sparked debate. Venus's surface is hellish, with crushing pressure, 450 Celsius, 842 Fahrenheit, heat, and a toxic atmosphere, but about 31 miles, 50 kilometers up. Temperatures drop to a more habitable 30 to 70 Celsius, 86, 158 Fahrenheit. Researchers suggest extremophile microbes like those in Earth's deepest oceans could survive there and might explain the mysterious gases. Indeed, folks, there were mysterious gases, that were discovered in Venus's upper atmosphere. Some people think it could have been a mistake. Others think it's evidence that life is indeed up in the clouds up on Venus. Very interesting. Let's continue. Our latest data has found more evidence of ammonia on Venus, with potential for it to exist in the habitable parts of the planet's clouds, said Jane Greaves, an astronomer at Cardiff University. There are no known chemical processes for the production of either ammonia or phosphine, so the only way to know for sure what is responsible for them is to go there and find out for ourselves, folks. I do agree with that. Yeah, we should go there and find if life indeed exists, in the clouds on Venus. The mission, VERV, Venus Explorer for Reduced Vapors in the Environment, will hitch a ride on the ESA's Envision orbiter in 2031. A small CubeSat probe will detach to study Venus's atmosphere, mapping phosphine, ammonia, and other gases that could hint at life. The phosphine mystery begins in 2020 when scientists first detected it, but later studies couldn't confirm it. Then the JCMT Venus project found the gas only appears at night as sunlight destroys it. Levels also fluctuate, deepening the puzzle. Last year, researchers also reported ammonia in Venus's clouds, another potential biosignature. Indeed, folks, that is very interesting. And the fact that the gas seems to not be detectable when basically the sun is shining on Venus, that is another interesting tidbit of information. All of it's so very fascinating. But let's continue, folks. While skeptics argue non-biological processes could produce these gases, no known Venusian chemistry explains them. If it's not life, we've got a lot of new physics to figure out, one researcher joked. The VERV team hopes to finally answer whether Venus's clouds harbor life or if the gases have a stranger, unknown origin. Either way, the mission could rewrite our understanding of life's potential in the universe. Indeed, folks, I have to agree once more with this article. Indeed, if these gases that are usually associated with living organisms, if indeed they're being produced in some other odd manner, then we need to go there to Venus to find out. But indeed, folks, if we go there and find that life does exist in the clouds of Venus, then that proves that we are not alone in the universe. And that would be completely, it would change our view of the world, folks. It would mean that indeed life does exist and exists in our own solar system, folks, that for so long that we've thought that except for Earth, we thought that no other life existed. We theorized that maybe life could exist on one of Jupiter's, moons, Europa, under the ice sheets, and maybe basically under our oceans with the thermal vents, where scientists discovered living organisms evolved and thrived there. Up on Europa, scientists think that maybe life similar to that could exist in the oceans there. Now, folks, maybe other life exists besides up on Europa, up on Venus, with some sort of microbial organisms living in the clouds, producing this gas that we're detecting, folks. Indeed, if that's true, it proves we are not alone and changes, as I said, everything. Do you think it does exist there, folks, up in the clouds of Venus? Life? Maybe it does. Either way, folks, very interesting, but we're at the end. So please go subscribe to my YouTube channel. Read comics, they're bad for you. You can use the YouTube link down below in the descriptions or the chat to go subscribe to me. Hit that like button for me. Make sure you're still subscribed. Leave some comments down below. Hit that bell for notifications. Hit the part of the bell that will give you all future notifications. And please share this video out. I'm Chris Williams from the Scumdogs Kennel. Thank you all for joining me. I'll be back again tomorrow with another great video. So be sure to come back again then. Till next time, folks, I'll see you all again soon.